Alright, we're going to be taking a look at how to change the strings on an acoustic guitar. If you're an electric player, the concept is basically the same except for how the strings attach down here at the bridge. Now, what we're going to be doing is changing one string at a time. I'm going to be changing the 6th string, getting that tuned up back to pitch, then changing the 5th string, 4th string, and so on. I suggest doing one string at a time, number one, to help you get it back in tune once you have the string on, because what you can do is use the reference of one of the other strings that's already on there to kind of tune up and get it in the ballpark by ear. But the other thing is that there's a certain amount of tension that's on the neck of the guitar. And when all the strings are tuned to pitch, you have a certain amount of tension, and if you take all the strings off at once, you're releasing all that tension, then you put all the strings back on, and in the end, you may end up having to do a little bit of neck adjustment if you do that. But there are times when you need to take all the strings off at once, to clean the neck, or some people oil the neck if the neck's getting dry. But if you're just doing a normal string change, I suggest doing one string at a time. First thing we're going to do is change the 6th string. And I have a peg winder here, which is going to save your wrist tremendously, so I suggest you run out to your local music store and get one. They're probably about $1.50 US. For the 6th string, I'm facing the guitar away from me. I'm right-handed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the 6th string with my left hand, and then just crank, so I'm loosening that 6th string. Now, what I want to do here is crank until the string is loose enough so that I can take it off the rest of the way by hand. Now, for acoustic guitars, you have bridge pins here that are holding the string in. The peg winder has a kind of a peg puller built in. I'm just going to get underneath this bridge pin and kind of pull it up, and I can take it out. Now I have my new 6th string here. Now the bridge pin has a small groove right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the ball end of the 6th string down into the hole here, just slightly. I'm going to face that groove so it's facing this direction. And what's going to happen in the end is that this ball end is going to kind of slip up into that groove. That in the end is what's going to hold the string in, rather than the force of this peg here. One thing to be very careful of as we do this is don't force this bridge pin here. You may end up splitting your bridge, and that's a bad thing. Alright, so I put the string in. I'm facing the groove this direction. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, as I kind of push in this bridge pin, I'm going to pull up on the string. And what's going to happen is then that ball end is going to pop up into that groove. Sometimes you kind of hear a kind of popping sound as it does that, and sometimes you don't. But what you should do is, there's a little bit of extra winding close to the ball end, and you should be able to see that sticking up a little bit right here. If you don't, then you probably, that ball end hasn't popped up into the groove. If it doesn't, what ends up happening, if the ball end is kind of at the bottom of the bridge pin, is that as you pull up this string, that pin just keeps popping up no matter how much you push it in. So you want to make sure that ball end slips up into that groove of the bridge pin. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to line this hole so it's facing straight up and down. Now I don't need all of this string, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of this out of my way. A pair of needle-nose pliers here. What I'm going to do is, here's the pin I'm going to be wrapping around. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure about 6 inches past where that post is, and just cut off the string. Get some of that out of my way. Now what I'm going to do is stick the string through the hole, and I'm going to pull the string tight, and I'm going to measure to the next post and maybe about 1/3 of the way to the next post. So I got one post plus about 1/3. If you're stringing electric and you've got all of your machine heads on one side, then it's about 2 posts that you want to measure. But if you got 3 on either side, it's about 1 1/3 posts. Now, I'm going to pinch off the string here with my left hand, and I'm going to slide it back through that amount. Now this is the string, part of the string that's going to wrap around this post. And I'm going to take and I'm going to wrap one time clockwise around that post. That's going to be important. What I'm doing is I'm always coming from the outside in. So on the other side, I'm actually going to be wrapping counterclockwise for this first loop. But this time, I'm just wrapping clockwise. Alright, now I'm going to kind of bend this part up just a little bit to get out of my way. I need to hold on to the string. The way I'm doing this is with my second, third, and fourth fingers. I'm kind of pulling outward to keep tension on the string, and then using my index finger to guide the string. So I've got some tension here on this string at all times, so I'm getting a tight wrap going around this post. I'm going to be wrapping, and I'm guiding the string so that each loop is going to be going progressively underneath the last. Keeping tension on the string at all times. Now, I kind of let go a little bit there at the end so I don't lose a finger. So what I end up getting here is one loop that goes over top that I did manually, and then a couple more that go underneath that. Now I can chop off this excess on the end. Also, what I do is I bend down what's left a little bit so I don't impale my hand or rip up the inside of my gig bag. Now, one thing that you want to do once you have the string on is give it a little bit of a stretch. If you don't stretch out the string, what's going to happen is it's going to take a long time before that string is going to stay in tune. I'm now going to tune the string from, in this case, from the fifth string. I'm going to assume that my fifth string is at least somewhere in the ballpark of being in tune. So I'm going to play my fifth string open, and just using a basic tuning method where I play the fifth fret on the sixth string to tune the open fifth string. This time I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to play the open fifth string, play the fifth fret on the sixth string, and then tune that up while I'm holding down that fret. Now, I'm not trying to fine tune at the moment, I'm just trying to get somewhere in the ballpark. Next, I'm going to change my third string, because with these you're going to be wrapping the other direction. And also, I'm missing my third string already, so I don't need to take it off. So I take out my bridge pin here, put the ball end down in the hole, face the groove so it's facing this direction on this bridge pin. While I'm pushing in the bridge pin, I kind of pull up, make sure that ball end slips up into that groove in the bridge pin. I face the hole here so it's straight up and down. I measure about 6 inches past this post just to cut off some of the string and get out of my way. I now put the string through the hole. I'm now going to measure what would be about, one post and a third. I'm going to pinch off the string here, slide it back through the hole. This time I'm going to be wrapping counterclockwise. I'm always going from the outside in. This, for the left side, it's going to be clockwise. For the right side, it's going to be counterclockwise. This time I need to hold the string with my left hand. And I'm going to be using the peg winder with my right hand. And I'm also going to be cranking towards me this time, whereas on the left side I was cranking away from me. So same thing, I'm holding the string with my second, third, and fourth fingers to keep tension. I'm using my index finger to guide the string. Now, it's important not to be way back here. You can't guide the string very well. So what I'm doing is I'm right up there next to the post. Alright, now I start cranking, and I'm guiding the string so that each loop goes progressively underneath the last.